There are people who can sit quietly in a room, say very little, appear completely normal, and yet inside them, an entire conversation is still happening. Not with another person, but with themselves. A sentence they heard earlier returns again. A facial expression repeats in memory. A small moment that seemed ordinary begins to unfold into many possible meanings. And while the world around them moves on naturally, their mind remains there, still searching, still asking, still trying to understand something invisible. This is one of the quiet realities of people who think deeply. Their exhaustion often begins where others no longer notice anything, because for some minds life does not simply happen once, it happens first in reality, and then many more times inside thought. A conversation ends, but internally it continues. A decision is made, but mentally it gets reopened. A simple silence from someone becomes something to decode. Was something wrong? Did I miss a sign? Was that distance intentional? Should I have spoken differently? And sometimes the most difficult part is not that these questions appear, it is that they do not leave easily. They stay, they circle, they return when the room becomes quiet, especially at night, because night removes distraction. And when distraction disappears, many people meet the full volume of their own inner world. That is why some people feel most mentally tired when nothing is happening externally. The body is still, but the mind is active, and this activity is often misunderstood. People call it overthinking, as if it was simply a bad habit. But often it is much more complex than that. A mind that thinks too much is often a mind that learned very early that paying attention matters, sometimes because life once required it. Some people grew up in homes where emotions changed without warning, where peace depended on reading tone carefully, where one wrong word could shift the atmosphere, where silence itself had meaning. In such places, the brain adapts beautifully and painfully at the same time. It learns to scan, to predict, to notice subtle changes before they become problems. And over time, this becomes automatic. The person may grow older, their environment may become safer, but the mind still carries the same instruction: stay alert, look deeper, prepare early. That is why many thoughtful adults are not simply thinking too much. They are often continuing an old internal strategy that once helped them feel protected. And this explains something important. Overthinking is often intelligence mixed with emotional memory, because many deep thinkers are highly perceptive. They notice details others miss. They feel shifts in energy quickly. They sense what is not spoken. A delayed reply may mean nothing to one person. To another, it becomes 10 possible interpretations, not because they want difficulty, but because their awareness naturally searches beneath surfaces. This same sensitivity often makes them compassionate. They understand emotional nuance. They notice discomfort in others. They hear hesitation hidden inside simple words. And because they notice deeply, they often care deeply too. But caring deeply creates another kind of burden, because when meaning matters, the mind resists, letting things go easily. A careless sentence from someone else may remain heavy for hours. A short interaction may continue internally for days. A memory can reopen simply because one detail suddenly returns, and this creates a strange kind of loneliness, because many deep thinkers look calm while carrying constant internal movement. No one hears the invisible conversations. No one sees how much thought happens behind ordinary silence. Sometimes even the person themselves becomes tired of their own mind. They wish they could simply let things pass the way others seem to do. But thoughts do not obey commands easily, especially when the mind believes thinking creates safety. That belief is powerful because thinking often feels useful. It feels like preparation, like control, like responsibility. The brain says, if I understand enough, maybe nothing painful will surprise me. If I think long enough, maybe I can avoid mistakes. If I replay this enough times, maybe clarity will come. But many times clarity does not come, only repetition. And repetition slowly becomes fatigue. This is where many people suffer without knowing exactly why. They are not physically overwhelmed, yet emotionally they feel heavy. Not because life is dramatic, but because their mind keeps turning simple moments into extended internal work. And the hardest truth is this: the mind does not always know when thinking has stopped helping. At first it feels like reflection, then slowly it becomes looping. The same thought returns wearing different clothes. A new angle appears, but the same emotional center remains untouched. And because the brain stays active, it creates the illusion of progress. It feels like something important is happening, but often nothing is resolving, only repeating. This is why many thoughtful people struggle most when trying to rest. Because rest is not only physical, rest also requires permission to stop solving. And some minds do not easily grant that permission, especially minds shaped by uncertainty. Yet here is something gentle and deeply important. A mind like this is not broken. It is often simply loyal to old patterns. Patterns built when caution once felt necessary. Patterns built when awareness felt protective. And healing does not begin by fighting those patterns aggressively. It begins by understanding them, by noticing this thought is here again. This fear feels familiar. This mental loop is trying to protect me in an old way. That small awareness changes everything. Because when a person can observe thought without immediately entering it, space appears. And space is where peace begins. The thought may still arrive, but now there is distance. Now there is choice. Instead of, something is wrong, it slowly becomes, my mind is producing concern again. That sentence alone softens emotional intensity. Because thoughts lose power when they are seen clearly. Not all thoughts are warnings. Not all inner urgency is truth. Sometimes the mind simply repeats old alarms in situations that no longer require them. And perhaps one of the greatest lessons deep thinkers must learn is this. Not every unanswered feeling needs another hour of thought. Not every silence contains danger. Not every uncertain moment needs interpretation. Some moments become peaceful only when allowed to remain incomplete. And this is difficult, especially for people whose minds naturally seek closure. But true emotional maturity often begins where certainty ends. It begins when someone can sit with not knowing without immediately building 20 explanations. Because life rarely gives full clarity. Sometimes people stay quiet for reasons that have nothing to do with you. Sometimes moments feel strange without hidden meaning. Sometimes your mind creates complexity where reality contains only simplicity. And learning this slowly changes the relationship with thought. You do not become less deep. You simply stop drowning in every depth. You begin to understand that sensitivity is beautiful, but sensitivity also needs boundaries. You can notice much without carrying everything. You can think deeply without following every thought to exhaustion. And over time, something beautiful happens. The same mind that once exhausted itself trying to understand everything begins learning how to rest inside uncertainty. Not perfectly, not instantly, but gently. And maybe that is one of the quietest forms of growth a person can experience. When the mind that once never stopped asking finally learns. Some things do not need answers tonight. Some things can remain unfinished. Some thoughts can pass like clouds without becoming storms.